fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got really outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to him.
Oh my God! Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go.
Oh no!
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
It's the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Qualifying has already been sorted out. It's an unusual front row of the grid. Gleeson on pole, Toffoli on second, Dowding, Wood, and then the championship leader, Ugolotti. All to play for. About 30 seconds away here on SimSpeed TV for the start of action. My name's Jake Sperry, joined alongside by Cameron Dance for the ride, waiting for Matteo Ugolotti to line up then on the starting grid and get ourselves into position, ready and waiting for racing action to start. And we are down to the final 10 seconds for what will be 29 laps of racing action here today. How will Spa change the complexity of this season? And it looks like Ugolotti here has just got himself on the grid in time, the final possible second. Let's get ready and let's then get going. As the green flag straight through the middle, good start for the third row there from Bartosic, it looks like, as well as Emil Stanchu getting good, but Gleeson's okay. And a look at that from Ugolotti. He's already up into position number 2 as Clayton runs Orouge and Radion on the left, on the right, starts down to the team. This is the Camel straight, and look at Toffoli come back here, straight on the left-hand side. They'll have to take the long road at Lake Cumney, right and the left coming up, and on the right and the left still has to leave room there, and he finds himself washed out and hung out to dry, and everyone starts bottlenecking Cam.
Yeah, certainly do. Matt Wood's going to find his way on buying up the inside, as well as it's a cluster of cars behind. Dowding's trying to find a way on through as well, and he's going to go around the outside of Wood, nearly not going to make it happen. Toffoli's going to hold around the outside and get the inside. Jackie X corner though and hold on to that position luckily, but everybody else sort of bottlenecked up behind them, and Stanchu's going to look to the inside of Dowding now, so Dowding going to lose more positions out of this and drop down further in the field.
Certainly is, but Dowding's not giving this one up here on the outside. He will have the inside potentially at the Fania chicane, and he can't get it all sorted out, so it stays as is for the time being. So top 2 right now, Gleeson and Ugolotti, they are away with the fairies at the moment. Toffoli in 3rd, Wood 4th, Stanchu up to 5th, Dowding in 6th, Beal in 7th, Bartosic in 8th, and it is Knoll in 9th place. No dramas then on the opening lap of 29, but Bartosic has a really good run. In fact, sorry, no, that's Kyle Power who has a good run here in the field right now. He's looking for an opportunity to attack Kent Nielsen here into the final chicane as they all jam on the brakes to the right and the left here, which of course has had many a variation over the last 20, 30 years or so, but ultimately it stays line astern. 1 lap here completed at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps.
Yeah, certainly, and a clean one as well, which is very, very surprising, but nevertheless very, very good. And it's still going on between Matt Wood and Toffoli, as well as Matt Wood's trying to set the run up El Rouge and on the way down towards the come down the field straight into the draft as well. It's going to make it very, very easy to get that move done by the looks of it. He pulls in and out of the draft, and he heads down the inside, and he's going to have the inside for Lecom. Toffoli's just going to try and hold around the outside, but not quite going to break it late enough. And Stanchu nearly into the back of him.
Very nearly a pile up at the junction, so to speak. But look at how attack turns to defense straight away. Dowding onto the outside, trying to be aggressive here. And once more trying that big, wide, arcing line at Bruxelles, trying to get that move. And he cannot get there. But he does have the inside, but he won't have traction and drive onto the exit. So stuck with me. Make that move as such. Dowding has to play again. Again, now on the back in 7th position, trying to get on in. Some wonderful work then being done in the opening couple of laps, and every position being fought for hammer and tongs, tooth and nail here as they work themselves then through lap 2. One-stop strategy as is traditional here, so you're looking at maybe trying to get to lap 15 if you can to go soft.
Yeah, certainly, and it shouldn't be too hard with the fact that tyre wear isn't really too much of a problem here, especially with the fact that there's so many fast and flowing corners, but nevertheless, they're still not going to want to burn them up too quickly.
No, you certainly don't. Look at the battle for the race lead, though. Matteo Ugolotti is absolutely flying. 145.5 on that last time through, and he was a full 9/10 of a second quicker than Adam Gleeson, and that is a huge concern. He's the only driver in those 145s right now as he goes through Eau Rouge and Radion up the hill through the lefts and rights, and that left again that leads onto the Kemmel Straight. This is lap 3, so DRS is in play right now for Matteo Ugolotti, but passing is one thing, catching's one thing, passing is definitely another, as he finds himself pretty much buffeting then in a straight line. It seems like Ugolotti is set up for that middle sector.
Yeah, he certainly is, and possibly running a little bit more downforce trim than what some of these other drivers are, and the likes of Gleeson probably running a little bit lower downforce, so Ugolotti's going to have the advantage through the middle sector, but certainly isn't probably going to be under too much stress at the moment, the fact that there's still a lot of racing to go, and knows that he just has to more or less cruise home and just score points at this stage with where he sits in the championship, but he's definitely going to be hungry for that win.
He certainly is. He looks close, he looks hungry, but he's not quite in a position right now where he can really capitalise and make a move of things, and I think a lot of drivers at the moment are finding themselves in that same position right now. Dowdy and Beeler very similar, as is Thomas Nolan, Kent Nielsen as well. Both of them pretty much line astern. 19 drivers in this field today. It's split 3 ways here today at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, but again, as we focus on these top 2, Ugolotti getting a really good run there out of Blanchemont, and look how late on the brakes he dives in then and gets it all nicely set up. That was wonderfully done, but it now allows Gleeson the chance to attack here towards turn 1, Cam.
Yeah, it certainly does, although Ugolotti's going to have DRS down towards turn 1, so a little bit of defence for Ugolotti, thankfully, but Gleeson's going to have DRS on the way up towards the chicane as they head up towards Eau Rouge. He's going to get the DRS activation line just as they cross the old pit straight and then up towards through Eau Rouge, and Ugolotti's already checked out massively just before they've even got to Licum.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Adam Gleeson is running at 329 kilometers an hour on that front or on that Kemmel Straight, and he can't get anywhere near Matteo Ugolotti, who was running 320 kilometers an hour on that straight. So goodbye and good night. Ugolotti is going off to his dreamland of victories once again when it comes to the start. The big loser out of everybody in the start was Ray Griffio, and he's down at the back of the pack in 19th of 19 right now. He's very nearly ran into the back of John Pat Kelly, but down 10 places to start. But this is a 3-car scrap. Andreas Nilsson is in there as well, and these 3 are fighting it out for who wants the wooden spoon.
Yeah, they certainly are, but they're certainly going to make a big deal of it, that's for sure, to how hard they're fighting at the moment. Certainly not leaving anything on the table either, so see who's going to come out in front on the out of these 3 currently. John Kelly, they're doing an all right job of holding off Ray Griffio, who's trying to find a way on by, but just seems to be a little bit countered by the fact that he's got a little bit of aero wash to deal with.
And that aero wash is really hurting, and it has done time and again around this track. It's all about staying within range and finding that opportunity to attack, and Griffio, and then, oh, spinner. It's Emil Stanchu there in the blue flag racing car. So he's run into all sorts of troubles then, trying to get that one all sorted. It looks like he's had a punt from behind as we catch things on the Motum simulation replay. Maybe a little bit of net code in that one as well, but there was no way that Luke Dowding was going to stop that one. Emil Stanchu then ends up just effectively the victim of happenstance.
Yeah, certainly, unfortunately, and he's going to end up all the way down the order, slotting in just behind Jorge Martinez, who's currently sitting in P14, so he's dropped down all the way into 15th, and he's going to have a little bit of work to do to try and recover himself back to where he is at the moment, but you can see looking up the inside again of Martinez, and he's going to get that job done very, very easily, and Weisbeck actually got by Kyle Powers as well on the way into Licum, so 2 passes in the space of 1 corner.
Happens just like that. You don't find any overtakes for a while, and then 2 come along at once. Cedric Beale, though, in 6th position, will be looking at the back of that NHR Esports car that one Mr. Luke Dowding is running right now, and hopefully the MXS car can get himself closer and closer into some running. Of course, part of that MXS team is that they are very, very close with probably one of the biggest French broadcasters of iRacing content that you will find out there. Beal close, but not quite in a position to go out there and attack and get what is needed. Now, I've caught my eye on Matteo Ugolotti at the front of the field because he has just lost all the time he would have been gaining on the runs forward. So he managed to pull out a gap of 1.1 seconds. But now look at it here. Straight back on the rear is Adam Gleeson, just pretty much finding the draft and absolutely loving life, it seems. And it didn't look really, over the course of that last lap, Cam, that Ugolotti made much of a mistake.
Yeah, it certainly didn't really look like he did, which is a little bit odd for that sudden time to be lost. Maybe a slowdown somewhere, possibly an off-track, who knows. It's certainly not not very characteristic for him to make a mistake like that, but nevertheless, Gleeson's managed to close that gap back up, but he's going to have that gap suddenly increase again as Ugolotti's just going to pull away down the Kemmel Straight.
That car is so planted through that section, pretty much neuters any other run. Gleeson had his best lap of the race so far on that last time by a 146.1. But just look at those two drivers behind of Toffoli and Wood. Even with that best lap, 0.6 of a second taken down. So we look at Nathaniel Porter here in 13th position on the road. Now look at how aggressive they are. He's got Stanchu, who's got through on Kyle Power, and then you got himself, Martinez, and then Klaus Siemens there. Trying to stay with is Stefan Chantal. Weisbeck just in front as well in 10th. Wants to get past Thomas Knoll for 9th place, and Weisbeck is another driver here who's moving. He was 1.2 seconds that last lap quicker than Thomas Knoll.
Yeah, he certainly was, and he'll be able to get that move done very, very quickly. And we've just got Kent Nielsen up the road as well, so he'll be well and truly inside that top 10, possibly on for an 8th place at the rate he's going with the pace that he's got, especially.
Yeah, and then just a second down from that is Thomas Bartosic. So we are only in the early stages right now then of this race. It hasn't been going on for too much. We are on lap 6, heading towards lap 7 of this event so far. And it just looks for the moment like there are no guarantees at this stage. Everyone just slowly starting to form up and get themselves in their own respective battles. And again, Ugolotti and co putting in 46s on the board, and it's 45s behind as they try and chase. Luke Dowding, fastest driver that last time by, put in a 45.4 out there compared to who he was looking to fight. And now look at what that's done. It's brought him right on the back of Clayton Toffoli here, who, remember, started on the front row in the number 17. But now here comes Luke Dowding, got a mega run as he'll get the DRS now. And you look at this, this is pretty much like going past someone on the highway or on the motorway, because that is Toffoli. Absolutely nothing you can do. It was like medium lane to fast lane.
Yes, certainly. And Thomas Knoll trying his hand at getting on by Kent Nielsen, but wasn't quite able to do it, even though he had a very, very good run. Well, but a change for the lead, though, as Gleeson's tried to have a go at getting by Ugolotti and has actually managed to make it happen somehow.
Yep, Kemmel Straight will go on the Motum replay here. Look at just how much pace he had on the brakes into that section. We'll keep this one as we go through on up the hill. But this is just how you can make wonderful, wonderful overtakes here when you've got a straight line dependent setup, which I'm sure the fiercely forward drivers absolutely love. We saw it last season with Tom Bolstra. Look at the drive he gets in that slipstream, and see you later, goodbye. That's how you overtake up the Kemmel.
Yes, certainly. And I do wonder if maybe Ugolotti did get a slowdown as well, since he did cut that inside corner at the top of the hill up the way through El Rouge quite a bit, or got a little bit sideways as well, just going it through Blanchimont now. So, yeah, maybe a slowdown there for Ugolotti, and as a result, he's lost the lead, but certainly going to be able to get that one back very, very easily.
Absolutely, but this is the key. They are exchanging positions over and over again, and this is just bringing everyone in the top 5 back into the battle, and that would be the last thing on their mind at this stage as they race, as Ugolotti is taking every liberty there with the endurance pit wall there on the right-hand side of circuit, up Eau Rouge and Radion. Now you start to attack, and this is where you get that DRS that comes into play. Tucks up underneath, even though it's more trimmed out in front, there is the equalizer, hits the limit at 312 Ks and can't find the overtake to go through. So he's happy just to sit and wait and build a gap. He doesn't want to attack too much at this stage because they're allowing Matt Wood into that 1 second window. That will be their big concern. That gap is now 9/10 of a second here at this stage, and that will be a cause of concern. And Kyle Powers had an off here as well. He's gone straight on. He's very nearly taken out Nathaniel Porter with him.
He certainly has. It was a very, very big off, and he broke way too late. It's almost as though he's completely forgotten to brake or had a brake failure of some sort, because he's just gone straight ahead on the way into the corner.
Well, watch this right now. You can see they're side by side. Porter gets the run, and this is what happens with Power here. He gets on the brakes, and look at this. Oh, very nearly taking out there in terms of that incident. He's lucky that they are both still running, Cam.
Yeah, very, very lucky indeed, as that could have been a very, very big shot and could have taken both, if not three of them out, actually, with what was going to happen there. But certainly very, very lucky for them to all come away out of that in one piece, that's for sure.
Well, there's also been a few dramas for David Weisbeck as well. He's had a moment out on track, and that's put him... In fact, he's actually come down into the pit. So Weisbeck here on lap 7 is the first taker onto the lane, which is a really surprising thing to say at this moment in time. But Weisbeck is the first on the lane, and this is going to start just changing the way he's going for it. And I reckon he's looking at a two-stop strategy here, going soft, medium potentially, to try and get himself over to the end of this race. So we'll see how that plays out. Meanwhile, there's Matt Wood, and he is firmly in the range here with DRS, because he's closing up now to Matteo Ugolotti, and these front 5 are all starting to get themselves in that range. We've got some side-by-side behind. This is Thomas Knoll on Kent Nielsen, and oh, that's Matt Wood. Oh, it's exactly the same way as it happened last time he was here at Spa-Francorchamps. He's gone straight off the road into the gravel, and now you can see that's going to be Bartosic here who's going to try and make the move down the inside. In fact, it is.
Yeah, it certainly is, and unfortunately, it strikes again that outside curve on the way through Lecomi. Just caught it, and it sent the car around, unfortunately, so he's going to end up losing time and losing positions as a result, but he's got Bartosic for company. We'll get a motor simulation replay, and you can just see they're clipping the curve, and it's just looped him around. He's managed to save it from completely spinning and ending up in the wall, but he's lost a lot of time and a lot of positions, unfortunately, and probably damaged those tyres quite a bit as a result, so probably going to have to pit a little bit earlier than he would have hoped.
No, that would have surprised him. That would have really, really surprised him there, Matt Wood, because that was a very quick snap, and it's almost like you just hit the curb exactly the wrong way that the tyres don't like it, and then you've got work to do now for the rest of this race. Top 2 back together again, then Ugolotti and Gleeson at the front, but still it's going on at the moment there behind, but we focus then on the front, and Adam Gleeson only has 0.4 of a second to play with right now, runs a little bit deep there through turn 1, and this is only going to allow Ugolotti the chance then to close back in. They've got a gap now of 2.4 seconds to Luke Dowding in 3rd place, but this is all about Matteo Ugolotti now. How good of a run can he get up here? He's able to close even with the dirty air effect, but now when they get the DRS wide open, does he have enough to go and make a move? He's full bore, 323, and he can't get alongside.
Really interesting. They actually lifted off and backed out of that one instead of trying for the move. You could see they just slightly lifted as he got really close. Could have easily had to dive up the inside at Lecombe, but just decided not to do it, which was a little bit interesting considering he's probably wanting to be there at the front at the moment, but just deciding to sit station and just wait and be patient.
Cam, we are on lap 10. Do you think he's just waiting for the pit stop cycle so that he can pit in earlier than Adam Gleeson and get an undercut?
It's very possible. It could also be the other way around, and that he's waiting for Gleeson to pit so he can get an overcut. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see, I guess. It wouldn't be a silly idea, especially knowing that he's got massive amounts of pace and knows that he doesn't really have to push with who's behind him at the moment.
Well, it's all about pushing and pushing to a level and a limit. There are battles up and down the order here on SimSpeed TV. This is the circuit to Spa-Francorchamps, and this is amazing battling. There's the in-sim conditions that we have right now. It's pretty much midday and 23 degrees only, so this is oversteer conditions and probably the most slippery of conditions that they get themselves in around this moment in time. So these drivers pretty much keeping an eye on things. There's Toffoli in 4th on screen that we see right now. Wood has dispatched behind of Bartosic, so has moved back up then into the 6th position as everybody just looks to try and get themselves back into play. Someone who is starting to make moves back through the field though, car number 9, Emil Stanchu. He's back up now into 10th position as Knights and 8's in front of him.
Yeah, certainly not too far up the road from him as well. He shouldn't be able to well, should struggle to catch up to them too much. And it's Thomas Noel and Kent Nielsen as well. So we'll see what stance you can do. Is about 2/10 quicker than Noel last time by just slightly less, 2/10 slower than Kent Nielsen. And Thomas Noel just blowing on by Nielsen on the way down towards Lecom and just left for dead.
Absolutely, and I can tell you how fast he was going. He was at 333 kilometers an hour on that straight. So Thomas Noel has got that trimmed out to the gills, trying to maximize the Kemmel straight. And what makes that such an important straight as well is that it's an uphill straight. It's not like it's flat pan level. You are going uphill, still reaching speeds of 333 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, you certainly are, and it's not a massive amount of angle that you've got to climb in terms of hill, but it's certainly one of those gradual ones that certainly does look deceiving, especially from a driver's point of view, where you don't actually realize it until you see it from a spectator's point of view. But certainly this battle's still going on as Kent Nielsen not letting Noel get away at all as they head through Paul Freire curve and down towards Blanchemont. He's tucked right up in the draft at the moment as Kent Nielsen, and he's closing that gap down ever so slightly and starting to sort of almost hit a wall with the fact that they've both got the same sort of top speed, but Nielsen going to sit behind, not going to get a move done into the bus stop, unfortunately, but gets very close. All contact between the two of them.
Just like that, Thomas Noel goes around, and I wonder how that one went. It was looking like that he got it all wrong over the curb potentially and got hooked maybe with a little bit of net code, and that's why Noel is able to go around. So a little bit of a disaster there. Noel now does have himself the ability to keep going, but very easily it goes wrong. And I would have wondered in that position whether that would have been a chance to maybe dive down into the pit and just bite the bullet early. But there is Gleeson, there is Ugolotti, 1 and 2. Not quite close enough to make the move yet is Ugolotti, but he is doing a lot of things there, staying behind. One of them is maybe just trying to save a little bit of fuel. Seems weird, Cam, to say that in a race where you don't actually refuel, but that will give him more opportunity to go more aggressive on the wick later on in the race.
Yeah, it's very, very possible that he's possibly underfilled the car a little bit just to try and have a little bit more pace, but Toffoli's actually lost some position to Cedric Beerling. He's going to lose another one to Matt Wood as well on the way through Brussels as they get through Pujon now, and he's dropped in behind Matt Wood, so he's lost 2 for 1 there in the end to Cedric Beerling and Matt Wood.
It's all a mistake. It was all just a mistake. We'll catch on the motion replay. He just runs wide at Bruxelles, misses the corner, and you're going to see this right now here on screen. This is how easily you can get it wrong here, ladies and gentlemen. Just goes in a little bit too hot, locks up the inside front, and then Cedric Beal. You don't get many freebies here at Spa-Francorchamps, but that is one of them. And then through the corner exit, Matt Wood's now going to have an opportunity to dive down the inside, and this is how you make a pass here. Committed on the inside, and there's not much you can argue against it in terms of levels of overtake. Matt Wood with commitment plus, making sure that he gets it done.
Yes, certainly, and easily executed in the end, thankfully, due to the way that the track works itself. But Toffoli in and a little bit odd. He did look like he was slow on the way through the rest of the lap after he'd got past. So I'm wondering if there's maybe some tyre wear issues going on there for Toffoli as he's crawling into his box now. I couldn't really tell. He wasn't necessarily struggling as if he had a puncture, but certainly was a little bit slower than he normally should, and he's coming back out on the red soft tyres. So we'll see what he can do from here. Pops out just behind Andreas Nielsen, so we'll see what he can do from here.
And look at where David Weisbeck is in comparison, Cam, because he's not a million miles away behind Kleber Toffoli. So he's going to bring himself right up into this one. It is expected that he's going to have to come down in and make another stop here is David Weisbeck. But that is interesting for where he could potentially fall out in comparison in this race. Adam Gleeson leading this one for the Fiercely Forward team, with Matteo Ugolotti, the championship leader, in second place. It's Luke Dowding in third, Cedric Beal in fourth, and Matt Wood on the recovery in fifth position right now as they all continue on their ways to race hard and race aggressively for positions here as they continue on at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. They are in that pit stop window though, and one of the issues that they're going to have is at what time do they want to dive down in and make a stop? Because those times where we saw they were at 45.5s for Ugolotti, for example, he's now in at 47s as that's Cedric Beale deciding he wants to cover off Kleber Toffoli and make a stop.
Yeah, he certainly is going to want to try that and see what he can do. Nielsen also in as well to get his stop out of the way. So starting to see a few more drivers make their pit stops and get themselves to the end of the race. We'll see what Beale's going to do in terms of tyre strategy. Probably more than likely going to be another set of red wool soft tyres goes up on the Jackson. Yes, it is another set of softs onto that car, so he's going to be going for a soft strategy. Meanwhile, everybody else is still going on, and Ugolotti's still sitting in behind Gleeson.
And look how much Beale has jumped Kleber Toffoli in the stop, because you can see where Cedric Beale is. Look, that's Kleber Toffoli right there. Toffoli got stuck behind Andreas Nielsen, and that's 2.5 seconds in favour of the Frenchman.
Yeah, it's a massive time gain loss there for both of those drivers, and Toffoli's come out ahead of Nielsen, has come out behind Weisbeck as well. So Weisbeck's making those newer tyres work and that undercut work at the moment, but whether it's going to end up paying off in the end is really going to be the big question, with the fact that he's got much older tyres now compared to everybody else who's pitted.
Well, we're on lap 14 of 29. If this is the window to come down in and get that soft strategy working, now is the time for Adam Gleeson and Matteo Ugolotti, who are 1 and 2. And I'm pretty sure that for both drivers, they are hoping that their strategy is going to be on point as they jam on the brakes into the final chicane. In comes the race leader. Ugolotti does exactly the opposite. He'll stay out for another lap then, and he'll try and work it out on an overcut as Dowding comes in and Matt Wood decides he's going to stay out. Bartosic comes down into the pits, as does Emil Stanchu as well, and almost a little bit of dramas at the junction. Jorge Martinez and Nathaniel Porter very nearly ran into each other there, the same way that Maldonado very nearly did. I believe, what was it, 2011 or 2012?
One of those years, that's for sure. I can't quite remember myself, but certainly not an ideal situation at all, not one you want to be in. But Martinez has stayed out, Ugolotti stayed out, and so has Matt Wood, all staying out to get an overcut at this point in time, and everybody else has come onto the lane. Gleeson's finally out, and so is everybody else. But Beale is not too far off where Dowding is at the moment as well, so that undercut working for him quite nicely at the moment. Weisbeck's come out just behind Bartosic as well.
Yep, so those stops have worked out quite nicely for them. We're on board with the race leader, championship leader at this stage. Matteo Ugolotti up into what is 8th gear here, the highest gear available, before flicking down 4 gears to 4th as he goes through the Fania chicane, trying to put the power down as much as possible. 5th gear on exit, and this is where every corner matters right now. Matteo Ugolotti, he's on the worst tyre right now. He's got 1 lap disadvantage. He'll try and gather that all back by using the advantage of the fresh tyre, and it's by far and away worth saying that he was the quickest when it came to a fresh tyre. A 45.5 on that opening stint does run a little bit wide, and here's another thing, Cam, they have to be worried about. Off-track incident points. They only have 17, and Ugolotti's gone straight on. Then he's going to have to go over the anti-cut curb, and he is going to drop a lot of time. Look at Matt Wood. He's now right on the back as they go to the stop. A rare mistake for Matteo Ugolotti.
Yeah, certainly not what he will have wanted at all. And I wonder if he's actually possibly damaged that front wing over that curve as well. So it's looking a little bit crumpled up. So possibly going to be a little bit of a longer stop. Martinez stays out. Gleeson's coming through the final chicane now as they're just pulling up to their box. So that's going to be a lot of time lost. And Gleeson may actually retake the lead of this race. And it's looking like it's going to be a front wing change.
Yep, he is. That's an extra 5 seconds then added on with the front wing change. And he now falls behind Matt Wood. Adam Gleeson leads. Now look at this in the stop. That is Dowding, who has jumped both of them there with that in second. And Cedric Beale as well, who's now on the podium ahead of Matt Wood still. Toffoli now finds himself in a good position. Now it's Ugolotti's turn to be P6.
Yeah, it certainly is, and he's got a lot of work. He's going to have to push very, very hard from this point on, but he's come out just ahead of Bartosic as Ugolotti, but Bedrick Cedric Beale looking up the inside of Matt Wood, but not going to be able to make it happen in the end, and he's going to hold on to that position is Matt Wood.
Yeah, Wood then has actually just made the pass then on Cedric Beale, who's gained himself 4th place, which will be 3rd when Jorge Martinez, the tyre whisperer, decides he wants to come down in and make his stop on road. Adam Gleeson then in control of the race by a very comfortable margin at this moment in time, and how the stops mean everything. It was the last corner that he needed, Matteo Ugolotti, and it's all gone horribly wrong. But look at Cedric Beale here. Remember, he's got his tyres up to temperature right now, and Matt Wood doesn't.
Yeah, he certainly does. So that's certainly going to be an advantage for Beale at this stage, having those nice warm tyres. But Matt Wood certainly not letting those cold tyres disadvantage him too much as he started to pull a little bit of gap coming out of Paul Freire curving on the way down to Francorchamps as well. So got a very, very good drive out of that corner. And Toffoli's not too far away from these guys as well. So if they start to battle a little bit too hard, he's going to be right there. And then you've obviously got Ugolotti just looming in the background as well. So going to be a 4-car fight here very, very shortly.
I'll tell you what, Jorge Martinez still hasn't come down in and made that stop. He's running 1:46.3s at the moment, and he is clear at the moment by 6.3 seconds over Adam Gleeson. If he can somehow continue to stretch that out, he could be okay. But we focus here on Matteo Ugolotti and his run through. He's got Toffoli in front of him as the nearest target, and then he's got Beale and Wood. And this is where most of these drivers are going to be showcasing just what sort of pace they have at this moment. And those times, and look at that there from Matteo Ugolotti there, deliberately driving 2 tyres into the grass. I reckon he's trying to exploit the tyre model.
Could very well possibly be. Could just be that he's running just ever so slightly wide and using all the track he possibly can. It's one of those mysteries, I guess, that we always look at and have to scratch our heads.
I reckon he's doing it. I've seen it so many times this season where he just puts 2 tyres in. I wonder if he's trying to just reset the tyres and the heat that's being put through them. He just pushed slightly wide there through Pouon, and he gets it all over the curb then on the exit, hits it the wrong side of Sunday, and effectively now has to be even more careful about that. I reckon he's trying every trick in the book to try and get closer.
Yeah, he certainly is, and could very well possibly damage that front wing again, or even that under tray, with the fact that that was a reasonable impact with that curb as well, with the fact that it would have bottomed out and everything. So you have to be a little bit careful that and hopeful that he hasn't actually damaged the car at all from that, but certainly isn't going to be wanting to be pushing too hard, and does have to remember he just needs to more or less finish with no one really going to be challenging him in the championship at the moment.
I've just thought of a thing that might work here. Jorge Martinez is not pitting here on lap 18 of this race. He is your race leader overall. Why? Because he is on the yellow-walled medium compound tyres at this stage. So that's the big difference maker right now. He's on that yellow-walled medium, decided for that strategy, and I wonder if he's going to try and make those mediums last as long as he possibly can. He's only losing about 7-8 tenths of a second a lap to Adam Gleeson behind, but we have to remember those soft-walled red tyres, those soft tyres, they're going to hit a cliff very quickly into a 146 range, where Jorge Martinez probably the greatest saver of tyres in this field.
Yeah, certainly is one of the best tyre savers in this field at the moment, and the fact that he's on those medium wall tyres, he's going to be able to go a little bit longer than obviously everybody else, and especially he's going to be in the box seat should everybody else need to do one more stop as well. So we'll see what happens and whether these drivers on the softs are actually going to be able to go the distance and get to the end, but certainly he's going to want to use those mediums to his advantage, not in the fact that he's going to have pace, but just the ability to go a little bit longer and not have so much drop off right at the end.
Cam, can I also point out he is the only driver in the field on the medium tyre?
He is indeed, actually. Everybody else is on softs, but bear in mind that Weisbeck may come down and put on some mediums, so he's not necessarily going to be the only driver who may use mediums, but he certainly is the only one out there at the moment on them.
Yeah, and it does look like Weisbeck has actually come down in already for his second stop and has gone back out on another set of the soft compound tyre. So Weisbeck has already made his 2 stops, and he should be good to the end from where he is right now. Fastest lap of the race, though, goes to Matteo Ugolotti in 7th position. Now, look at him, because he's right on the back of Clayton Foley, and that lap is insane. What he's just managed to put in, it's a 1:44.4. It's a second a lap quicker than anybody else in the field, and he's got a run here against Foley. He'll have to go to the outside to go and make this move. Up to 6th position you go. Ugolotti is finding the charge lap.
Yeah, he certainly is, and he's going to get that one done in the end on to Foley, and he's going to be up next on his list is going to be Cedric Beale, who's not too far up the road, and based on that lap time, if he can keep doing 44s, he's going to be able to blow him by pretty much everybody in front of him. But I think the big talking point as well is Martinez is doing mid 46s at the moment, while Gleason's pushing and doing mid 45s, so there's quite the pace differential at the moment, and that's been over the past few laps as well, so we'll have to keep an eye on that because that could very well change very, very quickly.
I tell you what, Adam Gleason has taken 1.3 seconds already out of Jorge Martinez on this lap. We are on lap 19 of 29. We'll have 9 or 10 laps to go, I should say, when we cross that start-finish line. So that's going to be all about who can get themselves there. There is Adam Gleason in the fiercely forward McLaren MP430. These are all McLaren MP430s they're driving, and Martinez is staying out for a 20th lap. Now, I don't think there is a rule here in this iRacing Grand Prix Series, Cam, that says you need to change the tyres.
There was originally, but I can't remember if they've actually changed it. I'm pretty sure you don't actually have to change the tyres, but I could be wrong. But nevertheless, we'll have to wait and see if he can actually get to the end on the set of tyres, because if he can actually do that, he's going to have such an advantage. But the problem is his tyres are going to be absolutely screaming for mercy come the end of this race.
Well, if his tyres are screaming, well, everyone else is going to be using pretty much all of everything. Look at Ugolotti. He's now already on the back of Cedric Beale. This is a race for the top 5, and it's these sorts of races that you try and get back the points. Ugolotti is a middle sector merchant at this stage as he tries to pull himself back in, but he's not available to try and make that happen just yet down Bruxelles, as he will then go to the next left-hand bend here of Jackie X and look to try and attack off of the exit. He is looking so punchy, so racy at this stage, as Cedric Beale just doing everything right at the moment, just riding his own race. But look at the drive that Ugolotti is going to get off the exit. Might have a chance to dive down the inside at Vanya, and he opens the door up then, does Cedric Beale, but he gives himself enough room. This is holding up Ugolotti now. Look at the pivot for the inside as he tries again here in towards Campus Corner and then into Stavolo. He's still not able to get it, but now here comes the run to the inside as they will make the run almost side by side. Nope, he doesn't have enough straight line. He has to stay behind.
Yeah, he certainly does have to stay behind, unfortunately, and it's going to cost him a little bit more time as well. He's going to look to the outside, ducks to the outside very aggressively on the way down towards the bus stop chicane, goes around the outside like it was standing still and just puts Cedric Beale in his place.
Absolutely. 45.4 from Ugolotti with an overtake and moves himself into the top 5 in this race. Gap at the front is now down to 2.3 seconds between Martinez and Gleason. At the moment, Gleason is closing at a rate of a second a lap, and this is the final bastion he has to secure himself the race victory at this moment. Next up for Ugolotti is Matt Wood, who has been Mr. Unlucky when it comes to Saturday nights or Sunday mornings in Australia and New Zealand, Cam, because every time he gets into one of these races, it seems, there's something that doesn't quite work out, as Ugolotti here is dragging Cedric Beale along him for the ride for at least one sector before he pulls away in the middle.
Yeah, he certainly is. Just bringing him with him at the moment, but certainly he has to be very, very careful not to bring him all the way to the front of the field because he doesn't want to be challenged all that much and just wants to cruise home at this stage. And it looks like he's going to be able to at least pull some sort of a gap to Cedric Beale as Ugolotti, but he's still got a little bit of work to do to catch up to Matt Wood and doubting in that at the moment. And Ugolotti's only been doing 45s, or Matt Wood's just done a 44.9 last time by, 2 consistent 44.9s as well. So he's certainly got a lot of pace at the moment, does Matt Wood, and he's certainly counting down at Luke Dowding and also Adam Gleason.
Yeah, and he's closing down 0.4 of a second a lap to Luke Dowding. He's got about 2.5, 3 seconds to try and close down. It's down to 2.4 seconds at the moment. and Adam Gleeson running his 45s, and he's now right in range right now with a 44.9 compared to a 46.3 from Jorge Martinez. That gap is 1.2 seconds, and if I were Jorge Martinez, I wouldn't be looking at defending into Lake Coombe. I'd be looking at defending this one up over the middle sector and into the final sector where those medium compound tyres are struggling here on lap 22. He's giving absolutely everything to hold off on this strategy. He was the only one to try this, and I think this is clever. This is also a battle down the field. Kyle Power and Ray Griffioen at it for P15.
Yeah, certainly. Still going on down further in the field at the moment. Ray Griffioen, a little bit quiet race going on at the moment, but he's doing all right currently in P16. It does have Kyle Powers just in front of him. We'll see, trying to get that DRS range. He's going to be close enough and just going to get the detection zone in the end. So he's going to have a nice run up through El Rouge and Rodillion. And manages to get a very, very good run, actually, because he's going to get him before they even get to the DRS zone. It's just going to absolutely swamp him with the fact that he's able to get it open.
Yeah, lovely move then, and overtake aplenty here at Spa. Let's go to the race lead, though, because Jorge Martinez is caught right now by the fiercely forward driver then of Adam Gleeson, who wants to go and get into the race lead, A, S, A, and P at this moment. Luke Dowding in third position will just be hoping that these two tangle so that he has an opportunity to take the race lead outright. But Gleeson, crucially, hasn't closed enough to Martinez right now. It is all about that dirty air effect, and once more, Martinez staying out. I think he's staying out all the way to the end here, trying to make this one work. Lap 23 of 29. It's 7 laps to hold back Adam Gleeson. This is going to be the tallest of tall orders, mark my words about it. But this is where you start seeing here whether Adam Gleeson can get the run and get the line properly. It's all about this next section, the left and up through the right and the left again. He is in range right now at just a quarter of a second back. Now watch the DRS flap, watch him go, and it's like watching a whip it off into the forest. He's taken the race lead away.
Yeah, he certainly has managed to grab that with great ease, especially with DRS as well. So very, very easy pass for Adam Gleeson in the end, and Martinez really not able to defend or do anything about it, unfortunately, and it's just going to have to slot in behind. And with those old tyres, he's really going to struggle to keep up with Adam Gleeson. Now he's going to be on much fresher tyres and much softer tyres as well.
Well, here's the question now with Jorge Martinez. Can he even hold on to a podium right now? Because he's got 5 seconds or 5.5 to Matt Wood and only 4.5 to Luke Dowding. So he's dropping all that time at the moment. It's already down to 3 seconds here to Luke Dowding. So question is, can he hold on for a podium even?
Yes, certainly. That's actually a very, very good point. Whether he's going to be able to hold on to a podium is going to be the next question, because Luke Dowding and Matt Wood aren't a million miles away. They're just coming through Campus Corner now, and then just through Paul Freire Curve, and he's not too far up towards Bonchmont. It is Jorge Martinez. It's probably about 5 seconds, I'd say, if I had a rough guess, but certainly is not a massive gap, and that's going to close down very, very rapidly with the fact that he's lacking pace in those medium tyres.
Yep, and this is where the struggle streak comes into play. That gap already down to 4 seconds to Matt Wood, who is in 4th position on the road. Gleeson now just needs to drive away. 44.9 he managed to put last time by. Wood a 45 flat, a 45.3 for Luke Dowding, a 44.8 for Matteo Ugolotti, who's only 1.7 seconds now off of the back of Matt Wood here in this race. But look at Martinez's last time. That's a 46.6 Cam. He is really struggling on what is gone off medium.
Yes, certainly, and those mediums are really starting to hurt now at the moment for Jorge Martinez, but Matt Wood's still trying to close that gap down to Luke Dowding at the moment, and 0.3 quicker last time by was Matt Wood compared to Luke Dowding. But how about Ugolotti? 44.8 last time by. He's got absolutely massive amounts of pace and basically matching what Gleeson's doing at the moment.
He is, but he only closed 0.2 of a second on Matt Wood over the course of that last lap. He's got to get within that 1 second range if he wants to have any hopes of a podium. Here's Stefan Chantal, the Canadian. He's not close enough to the back of Klaus Siemitz as they fight for 13th place on the road. And at the moment, it's still not quite there for Chantal, but they do have still some time on the horizon to make things work. They've got 5.5 laps to figure it out.
Yeah, they certainly do, and time's starting to run out with the fact that there is only 5 laps to go in this race, but you can see there Chantal doing all right at the moment, doing his best to try and catch up to Klaus Siemens, who has managed to get on by him, but certainly just seems to be struggling with a little bit of tyre wear at the moment, and unfortunately Siemens starting to pull away a little bit.
Yeah, Klaus Siemens doing enough. Emil Stanchu trying to put himself in position as well as we focus back on Matt Wood here in fourth position. He's got that gap under a second now to Luke Dowding. Why? Because he took another 0.2 of a second off that last lap around as they try and close. But again, Ugolotti is the fastest driver on track behind these two. The gap is down to 1.1 when they cross the line. Matt Wood's trying everything here to get to Luke Dowding. And again, Martinez, the slowest of the top five at this moment as they all start to converge in on each other. Dowding's only 3.3 seconds off of the race leader, Adam Gleeson. He can't think he's safe just yet here in the race lead because one small mistake and that's it. They're all back in again.
Yeah, certainly, and that's all it's going to take. Is that was very, very close there for Ugolotti, and Matt Woods all over the back of Luke Dowding as well. So if it's really just going to be a matter of making sure you don't make any mistakes at this point, especially if you're Ugolotti, and especially if you're the likes of Luke Dowding and Matt Wood, because you aren't going to want to give up that place at all. And Markini is probably the most at risk of making a mistake because he's going to have very, very old tyres, and if he's unlucky enough, he's going to have them pop on the last lap or so.
Well, we've seen drivers this season have tyres pop on the last lap. Just ask Chabi Rose over at Imola. But now it's about what can you have here. They will have 4 laps to figure this out at the start-finish line. Adam Gleeson starting to stretch his legs in terms of the gap overall, but Luke Dowding has got to be swift and efficient, and so does Matt Wood as well. Ugolotti's lost over a second on that lap with that mistake alone. What was the mistake, I hear you ask, Cam? Oh, he nearly lost it again here, did Ugolotti there through Blanchimont corner. Got himself the hugest wiggle as he went through. He's now trying to attack too hard, I think Ugolotti is.
Yeah, he's certainly pushing very, very hard, and he's trying his best to try and push it as hard as he can, but just not quite able to do it. But hello, these two are on the back of Jorge Martinez, and now the battle is well and truly on for the final spots on the podium, and Luke Downing's going to be right on the tail, but we're going to modem simulation replay of what's happened. Go back to live pictures, sorry. And Martinez is going to be side by side with Dowding. Dowding's going to have DRS, and he's just going to blow on by. Matt Wood's going to have DRS as well, and he's going to blow on by. So Martinez is going to lose 2 for 1 there on the way down towards Lacombe. And now here comes Ugolotti in the background.
Yeah, the podium out of reach then for one Mr. Jorge Martinez, who started today in position 17 on the medium compound of tyres. So he's had a hard day's worth of work trying to drive this one all the way to the end on lap 29. Emil Stanchu in 10th position, still trying to race it for 9th and 8th place against Kent Nielsen and Thomas Bartosic. Bartosic is falling back into these two drivers right now, but Stanchu is pretty much STUCNK.
Yeah, he certainly is a little bit stuck at the moment, is Stanchu, unfortunately, and was doing all right early in the race until that mistake, which cost him very, very dearly. So he's going to have to try and work for this one to get on by Nielsen and then Bartosic later on, but certainly is starting to run out of laps to get these moves done, and is going to want to get them done ASAP, obviously, because of the fact that he is running out of laps.
Yeah, and of course, with not many laps, you've got to start looking at percentage moves if you're going to gain those places that you very much need to. Matt Wood in a very commanding place, trying to close this down. That gap is coming down, though, by Luke Dowding and Matt Wood, but I'm not sure if it's coming down enough for race victory. 45-1 there for Luke Dowding. Took 0.6 out of Adam Gleeson. They've got 3 laps to figure this out. They've got to take an average here of about 7.5, 0.8 of a second a lap if they are to have a chance here of fighting for the race victory. The good news is if they can get in DRS range, they are happy. But look at Matt Wood now. He'll take full advantage of this here on the straight. He's got the run, defended here by Luke Dowding as they go towards Lacombe. They are side by side, and I think Matt Wood here around the outside moves up into second place. Wood with work to do now if he wants to chase down Gleeson for the race win.
Yeah, he certainly does have a lot of work to do, and he's running out of time as well. It's a massive hill to climb at this stage. The gap around 3 seconds or so, and he's going to have to close that down rapidly. He's going to need some massive pace. He's going to need to be doing 44s really in order to close that gap down enough to get DRS at least, but certainly it is going to need to push very, very hard, and it's going to use those soft tyres that he's got at the moment to his advantage.
Yeah, he certainly will, but he's not gaining on Gleeson, who is doing exactly what he needs to right now. Mid-45s, gets him home and dry and happy with a nice supper at the end with a big victory for him from Club UK and I do believe here, Adam Gleeson. He's doing wonderfully at this stage, but it's still not over. Matteo Ugolotti, I think he's used up the majority of his tyre right now here because he's stuck a little bit behind Jorge Martinez and can't quite catch at the rate that he needs to as we focus on those two up front. No change in the gap in 2.5 seconds, 2 laps, 1.2 seconds a lap to find. That I do not think is possible because even with that overtake, that was a 44.7 from Matt Wood. It was just another great response from Adam Gleeson. The gap's down to 2.3.
Yeah, it certainly isn't closing rapidly, or rapidly enough is that gap for the lead at the moment. But Ugolotti is now on the back of Jorge Martinez as they head up through our Rouge and Dillian, and he's going to have a very, very good run. Makes it very, very easy to find a way on by. Martinez not going to make it easy though, and squeezes him to the grass on the right-hand side. But Ugolotti blows on by with DRS, so the position gain there for Ugolotti, and unfortunately, Jorge Martinez demoted to 5th place.
That is called getting the crowbar out because he had to prise open that overtake, and he did so beautifully. Ugolotti now up into 4th position then in this race, and Matt Wood is absolutely motoring. Look at that gap. It's now 1.2 seconds here, and Matt Wood has just found himself a transcendent level of pace right now.
Yeah, he certainly has, and that gap is just not stopping closing at all. He's continuing to drop it very, very rapidly. He's going to have DRS at the rate he is having on the way up through down towards Lecum next lap by, and it's going to be the white flag next time by as well. So he's going to need to push as hard as he can to close that gap down enough. It's nearly under 1 second. He just needs a little bit more to make it happen, but that gap is coming down, and it's going to be very, very close at the end of this race if he doesn't get DRS.
This is where pressure tells. The nerves will be on Adam Gleeson. He's not been in this position in the championship this season, leading the race by a second, going on to the final lap. He's got himself a few hundredths, though, which might just give him DRS, depending on how he goes. Matt Wood just set a 1:44.3 as the fastest lap of the race that last time by. He was absolutely motoring, but now it comes down to, can Matt Wood find another 1 lap out of the tyres the same way? I'm sure they'll put the wick up to max. Will Adam Gleeson trying to cover this off? But at the moment here, look at Matt Wood. He's doing 346 Ks on the straight, trying to close down Adam Gleeson. He is giving absolutely everything right now, and he's got the gap down to 8/10. This middle sector is probably going to be the biggest one of them all. Ugolotti is still not losing the back of Jorge Martinez as well for 4th and 5th. We'll keep an eye on that one as well. But Matt Wood is trying everything. They're now using all of their instant points up now, trying to gain that gap. It's 0.6 of a second here into the 2nd sector, and Matt Wood needs to be within probably 3 if he's got a chance into the chicane. This is about now a good couple corners, and he can get himself into play. But Gleeson's doing just about enough, but now another couple tenths come off. It's now 0.4 of a second here. Matt Wood with a wonderful Fania chicane has given himself the opportunity here. Gleeson can sense it. The rear tyre's struggling, and here comes Matt Wood with the run now towards Blanchimont here, the famous left-hander, and this is the run that he needs on the final lap. Which way do you want to go? It'll have to be the road hard travelled on the outside. He tries it around the outside to get this one. Gleeson's going to try and cover him off.
no!
They go tyre to tyre as they go together. It's a drag race to the line. Gleeson's got the drive. Gleeson takes it.
What a finish!
Wow.
And no way could you have expected that to the line between Ugolotti and Martinez, though, and Martinez just going to miss out in the end on getting 4th place. What a finish, and it's going to be a drag race as well for P7 as well. Toffoli's just going to hold off Stansu and Nielsen in the end. What a finish this race.
Absolutely incredible. The guile of Adam Gleeson to hold on. It doesn't say the story. He started on pole position and won this race. He worked hard for that one tonight, and you cannot argue that he didn't deserve try and hold on, and you'd probably say that everybody deserved an opportunity to pick up the race victory and get themselves through and pick up the result overall. Everybody now is pretty much across the line. There have been no retirements then in this race, so we'll get confirmation then of official classified results here from the circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Adam Gleeson's 29 lap, I would say, brilliancy here today is won by 0.2 of a second, and some very hard racing there at the end. He just holds off Matt Wood into second position, with Luke Dowding 2.6 seconds back in third overall. Ugolotti made a mistake. He was in for that shout of race victory, but a mistake coming into the pits lost all his time with a front wing change as well. 6.7 seconds come the end of the day. Fourth place for the championship leader. Jorge Martinez went on a medium tyres only strategy today to pick up fifth place. You do not need to change your tyres in this series. Fifth place for him on an alternative strategy that only he was brave enough to try. Cedric Beale then will take sixth position, exactly where he started today, with Thomas Bartosic then in seventh. It is eighth place for Emil Stanchu, ninth place for Kent Nielsen, and 10th place for Nathaniel Porter. Why? Kleber Toffoli has picked up too many incident points, and as such will now drop a lot of time towards the end of the race.
It's going to be really, really unfortunate, especially after the run he was having and starting on the front row as well. So unfortunately going to drop down to 18th, but Thomas Knowles going to round out the top 10 with Klaus Siemens, Ray Graffion, Stephen Chantal, and John Pat Kelly to round out the top 15, and then David Weisbeck, Kyle Power, Kleber Toffoli, and Andreas Nielsen, your final finishers.
And I do now know why Matteo Ugolotti dropped back so much here over the final couple of laps. He was looking like he was going to challenge for it. But if you look at the fact that he's on 16 incident points and a drive-through penalty is 17, Ugolotti was trying to protect his points haul here today. And instead, he just decided to just ease off the pressure and decide to finish here overall. But don't take anything away from this race. Adam Gleeson has just written his name into sim racing folklore with that sort of defense late on. Give credit to Matt Wood. He was setting purple lap times trying to chase this one down. But next week is a completely different story. It's the last round before drop weeks. It is going to be so very, very vital that you tune in here with us at SimSpeed TV to find that all over again. Such amazing, amazing action. A massive thanks to Motum Simulations, who have been here with us on the replays for us here today. From likes of Scott Fountain, who has been here on the cameras. From Cameron Dance alongside me, my name is Jake Sperry. It is another speed track next week. We head to one temple of speed. It is Monza coming up. And after Spa-Francorchamps showcasing just how amazing these drivers can be in their battles, now time to see how things all shake up there. Adam Gleeson can smile. He just about held on for it. And that's one of the great victories that you can find here on a Saturday night with SimSpeed. We'll see you very, very soon, 1 week's time, or whenever you try to catch some more sim racing action with us here at SimSpeed TV in the very near future.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up there.
Oh my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.
God, what?